Hey, the library that I want to show you today is one that you probably haven't heard of before, which is a shame because it's actually pretty great. I'm talking about Nylis from Headway Studios. Nylis is a nylon guitar library and it's Headway Studios' first release. Now, full disclosure, I did receive this library for free, but I'm still allowed to voice my honest opinions, and if I wasn't, I wouldn't be making this video. Now, I don't want to waste your time with any more talking. Let's head into the door, and I will briefly introduce you to the library, and then I will show you the short demo piece that I wrote for it. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to say is that I'm not going to go over the specs of the library in too much detail, and there are two reasons for that. One of them is that there's an official walkthrough on the YouTube channel of the developer that does a great job at explaining how this library works and what articulations are included. I could try to do that too, but I think the developer himself is certainly more qualified to talk about that than me, and there's no reason to re-explain all the things that are already explained there. I will link to that walkthrough in the video description. The other reason is that I am not qualified to talk about guitars in any professional sense. I am very much not a guitar player. I believe I have touched a guitar once in my life, and that was maybe 12 years ago. I am a piano player, not a great one, but my instrument is the piano, and therefore I'm not going to talk about how difficult or easy it is to pull off great, advanced, realistic guitar phrasings with this library, because I'm just the wrong person to ask there. What I am going to talk about is the tone of the instrument, and also the reason why this has me excited, even though I typically write modern hybrid orchestral music, and that's not really the first thing you would think about when you hear a nylon guitar. Let's talk about the tone first. I'm just going to briefly show you the library, and then later we can get to the demo piece that I wrote and talk about some of the articulations in more detail. So as you can hear, the tone of the library is warm and pleasant, quite beautiful, I would say, and the recordings are very dry, but there's also a built-in reverb here that I will show you as well. And I do like the sound of this reverb, but for this video I'm using my own reverb, Cinematic Rooms Professional, which is not my own in the sense that I made it, but you know what I mean. Just because I like to use this on pretty much everything, and this will of course blend much better if I use the same reverb for the entire piece. Let me set this to, I don't know, -5 maybe. You also get different note lengths. And you also get various percussive effects, but let me turn down the reverb a bit more for that. I actually got a lot of use out of them for my demo piece here, which is what I'm going to show you next. And like I said, I typically write hybrid orchestral music. I have no idea if that description fits here. I just sort of went where I felt the music wanted to go, which was a lot of fun. No idea what genre this is, but I enjoyed writing it, and hopefully you will enjoy listening to it. So as you can see, I used 6 instances of Nylis here with different articulations. I'm going to go through all of them in a moment, but I want to touch on a more general point first. As I've mentioned, I think twice already, a nylon guitar library may not be the first thing you think about when you think of hybrid orchestral music. But this library is very interesting to me, not despite that fact, but because of it. I think that more unusual sounds and instruments, unusual for the type of music you're writing, have a great potential because they will make your music stand out. They will be especially fun to use because that's not the thing you typically reach for. Like, just let me give you a short example. The action strings here and Android Systems, which is a vocal loop from ADO Phoenix. I use this combination all the time, and that's because I think it's great. But still, I've gotten very used to that general idea by now, and I tend to do the same thing over and over again because it works, but that's not exactly what creativity is all about, right? And if you intentionally try to incorporate sounds and instruments in your music that you wouldn't normally use or that are not typically associated with the kind of music you're writing, you will automatically push yourself to go into a new direction. And something like this I would never have written something like that if I hadn't intentionally set out to incorporate a nylon guitar in this piece. And I'm quite happy with that. Like I said, I enjoyed writing this piece a lot. And this wouldn't have happened without that guitar. Or a different example would be in my most successful piece, actually, Call to the Heroes, I used field recordings of the ocean. And it's epic orchestral music. Ocean waves are not normally what you would think about, but they actually made for great transition sounds in that piece. And this is true for a lot of instruments and sounds. With this video, I not just want to talk about Nylis, we will talk about more about it in a second, but I also want this to be an encouragement to maybe try new things and go in new directions. Okay, but let's talk more about the library. Like I said, I used 6 instances. And I think before we go through them, I'm going to show you all of them together. Because at this point in the piece, no, here, you can almost mute everything else and it still works, which is pretty fun. And so on. Like I said before, the intention here was not to create one realistic guitar performance. I wanted to use this as a sonic texture, so to speak, to add a different flavor to my music, basically. And I think that worked quite well. I will show you this part again, but without the guitar, but with everything else. And I don't know about you, but I feel like there's definitely something missing here. And the guitar is really what brings everything together and adds life to the piece. Okay, so what did I actually use? I used the guitar effects, which are, like I already said, percussive effects that you can also use to add extra flavor to your normal guitar phrases. Because, for example, the player may tap on the body of the instrument, or there may be some string noises that are also in here. and I used it as a sort of rhythmic tool. On its own, it sounds like this. And what I really liked about this was the way it works with this synthetic rhythm in combination. Or even when you put the sub hits here in as well. Because the sub hits on their own are pretty boring and uniform. I used the same one over and over again. But with the guitar effects on top, it's suddenly much more interesting. And then there's also this moment, of course. And I used the swing kit from Project Sam's library Swing as well here. Okay, so the next element are the sustains with, I don't know how to say this in English, directional playing. Essentially, there are two sustain articulations with finger technique, and one of them has always the same stroke direction. These are all downstrokes for the neutral expression one, and the directional one has downstrokes and upstrokes depending on which string it is, which is something that I got from the official walkthrough. Like I said, I'm not a guitar player. Please refer to the walkthrough for more information on this. But I used these sustains for, well, not quite the main melody, but this little motif here, maybe from here. And I layered it with a piano. This is the Gentleman with a delay on top. And I think that's a great combination. And so on. The next one is the palm mute articulation, which is really the main driving rhythm for the piece here, because I used a delay on top of that as well, but not a diffusion type of delay, but more of an echo. And I have to say that one of the, or perhaps the main thing I like about this piece is how the rhythm comes together. I will just isolate a few rhythmic elements here to show that, because I think that's pretty fun. Okay, the next two are chords. There are different versions of both major and minor chords on the library. Essentially, you get one, well, slow version isn't quite the right word, but the other one, in contrast, has a bit more precise, tighter timing. I used the slower one, major and minor chords. I can show you those two. That's just a beautiful sound, I think. And then I used the short potato for this little idea here. And I doubled that with the piano as well, but not with the Gentleman with the delay on top, but with cine piano and no special processing apart from a little EQ. not going to play you the full thing again because you've already heard it. But yeah, this is my short little demo for Headway Studios Nylis. Like I said, I had a lot of fun working on this, and it really encouraged me to go in a new direction musically, which is challenging, but also very fun. I'm quite happy with how this turned out. The only thing I'm not really happy with is the main melody down here. My camera is in front of that actually, but well, the high strings and such. The melody is a little bit boring, but that's obviously not the fault of Nylis. If you just mute Nylis, this whole thing becomes pretty lifeless. So the guitar is really the driving force behind all of this that makes the piece work. And yeah, I think it's a great library. It was really fun working with it. And I will see you in literally just 1 second for the outro. And that's everything I have to say about Nylis and about using unusual sounds and instruments in your music. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Also make sure to like and subscribe and share the video and hit the notification bell and do all these things YouTube wants you to do. I would greatly appreciate your support. And speaking of support, you can also head over to my Buy Me a Coffee page, where you can make a small donation to support me and my channel, or you can also buy my breakdown video for my mockup of the concert suite from the Polar Express. See you soon.